Well, hello. It is Wednesday. Hope you're having a beautiful week. Araya AndaRa here, coming to you live and for the love of dragons. Told you guys it would be spontaneous and following the flow of what I feel inspired to do, talk about, discuss, what day I feel like coming live, and it's got to be in the flow. And that's one of the things we're going to talk about today is coming off of this powerful eclipse energy. We had a solar and then a lunar eclipse 2 weeks later, and we're going to have that again come October. But the important thing about this one, it was the last one in a long series that we're in, let's see, Scorpio and Taurus. And we're moving into, for the next 8 years, all the solar and lunar eclipses, starting with the group in October 14th and 28th, being in Aquarius and Leo. So big shifting of energies going on. And this, you guys know the eclipses are always powerful. They're always a portal. They are a seed point energy. And so as we're coming off of that, it's been really an integration period for me and this big focus on doing a check-in with myself even. To what degree am I really in flow in my life? Where do I really allow myself to feel what is in my heart to do in that moment and follow through with that, regardless of what else is pulling me in a certain direction, especially things that are calendared or scheduled or on somebody else's time and expectation. And the more I gently move myself out of it, the more I'm able to be in flow, the more aligned I feel to my full dragon self, my full light body. That's that process of ascension, along with all the other pieces that are happening biologically and energetically, moving into your crystal and DNA, moving into all your crystalline geometries and experiencing those as we move forward. It's really that constant subtle shift between all the bodies. And the more you bring awareness to it, the more you're going to really hone in on, well, am I actually doing that? Am I consciously intending and allowing that? And hello, I've seen a few faces that I haven't seen in a while. One, Ashley there, I haven't seen you. Good to see you. So I want to go over just this whole eclipse, the 5-5 alignment, the Cinco de Mayo on Friday. That's a fun day for a lot of people anyway, at least in the Northern Hemisphere here around the United States and Mexico. We've adopted a lot of their traditions for Cinco de Mayo, that big celebration in the air feeling, and lots of festivities around. For me, it was that real focus on the eclipse and what is this energy? What is this seed point of? And I was blessed because I've mentioned before, I am part of the what's called the Rose Gold Heart Pride with the Global White Lion Foundation Trust. And knowing that the dragons are passing off to the white lions, I have had this alliance building for some time now. It started a year ago, July 4th, when I actually had direct contact with with the lions energetically, the white lions. And I know at some point I'll be going physically to actually touch in with them in that handover on the continent of Africa. And so I've been working with the Global White Lion Trust, and they had a beautiful, Linda Tucker hosted and put together a 3-day event this weekend that was called the Money as the Golden Currency of Love. And it was really an underlying piece of that is moving directly into that flow with the money of energy as the same flow that we're allowing to be present with in our life. What is your heart desire? What are you moving forward into as action, as spending, as giving, as whatever it is? It is just an energy. And where do we sit with that? Are we in flow with it? Do we allow it to just be present, where we're not the guardian or the controller of it, but we're a steward of shifting it and veering it in the right directions? And maybe that's another level of check-in. Where am I at in flow in my spending habits, in my earning habits, in my giving habits, in my ability to really become a steward and not a controller or in freak out mode over that that energy currency that is money. And that's a big one for a lot of people. So what I found over that weekend, and then coming into Monday, I had an opportunity to gather with, like I do monthly, with my core Dragon Heart group, my lair. And what I found occurring, and you guys get to experience this periodically, when my dragon really comes forward, and you can feel the shift in my eyes, you can feel the shift in my body when there's a literal transference of energy coming through, and I'm starting to feel it settling into place here, really coming powerfully present. And it was on Monday, following this incredible eclipse, being part of a workshop at the peak moment of that, and then letting those threads work through the group, but also myself individually, of where else can I loosen? Where else can I be more and more and more in flow? And what unlocked on Monday, very unexpectedly, I always do a meditation in my group that we gather. It's like being with my family. And halfway through it, some information started to flow. And I find myself consistently going into reading space more and more and more of the time in these lives, in my gatherings, and allowing, this is what my guides have been working on for 5 years with me, allowing the richness of what is available to really transparently come through me. And in that gathering, I had this message of light language start to flow. And it was after sharing my experience of what came together literally almost overnight as an activation or a mission that my Dragon Hearts, we do stuff around the world as things come up that are pieces of the breaking the hold of the previous system energetically. And that also came up for the eclipse for Friday morning, my time, which started at 8:14. And we honed in on the midpoint of that 4-hour eclipse. Again, it came up spontaneously. Came up through someone's session who was connected to it, information afterwards that they in their flow shared to me, and boom, as we called into alignment, massive pieces came together that ended up being this activation, while another part of me is connecting with the Lion Trust, and then having this transparency flow through. And what happened during the activation was a reconnection to my commander aspect. And it's a piece that has not come directly. I've known about it. I've had memories of being in spaces where I knew I was a commander. But this was actually walking into a space where I felt hundreds of dragons gathered for what was going to unfold. And they turned and literally addressed me as, Commander, you're here. We are so glad to see you. And something shifted in that, because it was another level of homecoming for me that I have not stepped fully into. I've not been in the position where I needed to pull that part of me really forward. And it came through again in my gathering on Monday, and I had a really huge outpouring of light language coming from my commander aspect and sharing a message directly with my close circle of Dragon Hearts. It was very moving, and I felt it crack something open in me to another level. It was another level of transparency, another level of trust, another level of allowing the flow to come through as you're aligned to it. Like, just trust. Don't block it. Don't shut it down. Don't say, oh, everybody's going to judge me or think this is stupid. When it comes through, it's like magic. And magic unfolded in those moments that transformed everybody in the group. It was really one of those moments that I will always look back to and realize how potent it was, how unique and special it was, and that it was another level of turning point, because it was part of this seed point energy. And what's funny is I came on today knowing I'm inspired to go and do a live right now, not really knowing what I'm going to be talking about and sharing. I had no idea I was going to be led to share that piece of my story, but because it's so connected to the check-in with the lunar eclipse energies on the heels of the solar eclipse energies, that's a full wrapping around. And we have both the sun and the moon here, just still holding that, this beautiful figure eighting. It's a conclusion. It's a seed point into next level of that connection within you. And so as I hold it, you might say, well, why is she sharing that story with us? What is that really deeply about? And what it is every time that I transcend another level within myself, because I'm holding this group sphere for all, what do we have, like 2,700 now in the for the Love of Dragons group. And I know they're not all active, and maybe 300 or 400 check in on the videos, either here or in YouTube. I think a few more on YouTube now than here. But every time, because I'm holding that sphere, and I had my inner circle, we're 12 in that inner circle, that makes it exponentially 12-fold. It's not just 12 times, it's to the power of 12 of what's being held in this group container for all of the dragons that are connecting in, feeling called to start opening themselves to the work with the dragons, opening themselves to what their dragon part is, learning more, diving in, and they're finding us. And there's lots and lots and lots joining all the time. And it's that connection point, that thread of law of attraction, magnetism, bringing everybody together. That is why we have beings like myself that are at the front of the wave. We are holding a specific vibration pattern to let everyone else unfold into it and benefit from it. So if I broke through into another level of transparency and trust and connection into myself, that is literally the template that's in the sphere now for everybody. You're going to be feeling that and unlocking another level of, whoa, I feel things shifting. I feel the space continuum wobbling. I feel the timelines operating differently, how time operates around me. I'm not in the continuum in the same way. As you start feeling that stuff, it's because of that group sphere and the anchored energy within it that you are part of. And so it starts unlocking within you at whatever pace that is. Exactly, Berkana, quantum. It is how the quantum field works and why, I'm 56 and I'm at that front of that wave. I knew I was one of the early indigos and one of those that breaks walls. I'm here to break the walls. I'm here to do what has been the hard work. I mean, shadow work 20 years ago is totally different than it is now. And beings like myself, that especially those that are like my inner core and my quantum flight group, we are here to literally keep churning those tables forward, churning those wheels and gears forward in the journey, so that it makes it easier for every wave that follows after that, because they're going to have their piece. Does it make our piece any more important than the wave 3 layers behind me? No, every piece is important, but we've been that stabilizing factor of like, all right, maybe it's more a destabilizing factor. Break it down and then stabilize it. Break it down and then stabilize it, and hold it so that everyone that comes after has a much easier path. And so as we go through this, why am I being inspired to share this today? It has to be so that you are in heightened awareness to do that check-in with yourself. Where am I at in my flow? Because if I have a solar and lunar eclipse that's allowed me to come into this patterning, am I listening to it? Am I really holding the intention with my being to align into that? Because that's where my soul lives. My soul lives in that constant looping with the divine that says, my heart knows. And that, if you do this, straight through the heart point, up around the wisdom center, all your knowing, all your soul level knowing from all of your Akashic record journeys that are scribed in there, they're coded in, you have access to them, and then you move down into the power center and it comes all the way through the heart point. That's the seed point of these eclipses. And bringing that in to that heart center, how much more can I open it? Because this is my divine alignment that is with my higher level dragon self, my full light body, which you may or may not be soul level dragon, but you have a connection to them if you're here. So it's likely that you are soul level dragon, and that this is the merge place where that center point, that heart, merges with your dragon heart. And whoa, as there's now we have the horizontal figurating. You've got this connecting you to your divine higher self, your divinity through the heart, and through that heart pulling your light body fully forward, as in merge it straight in. Because at some point your dragon heart and your human heart, I would consider it more the high heart than the actual heart chakra, will be merged at that point. And that's the double Vajra is the word from Tibetan. Double Vajra, that if I haven't talked about it in this gathering, I know I've talked about it in my programs and classes. That's where we're moving to. That center point. All 4 points interconnected in the central apex that pulls it all together. So I want you guys really sit and allow yourself the knowing to come in. Sit with an open heart of meditation, sit in contemplation from the heart, whatever it is. Your method of that interconnection where you can hear and ask, to what degree am I actually in flow in my life? And you'll have a knowing, maybe you get it as a percentage. I'm 27% in flow, or I'm 60% in flow, or maybe it's I'm like on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm like a 2. Maybe I can up that. Maybe I can get that up to a 3 or a 4, where I allow myself, not just what my head is saying, because my head misleads me. My head might say, oh, I want to go get a coffee. I love those iced cold brews at Starbucks. That's the head talking. What is the heart really wanting to do right now? What does it want to be engaged in? Does it want to go out in the garden? Does it want to go walk the dogs? Does it want to just go hug somebody? Does it want to buy somebody a coffee? Maybe it is about coffee, but it's because you want to offer one to someone. Or maybe it's really self-care and you're offering it to yourself because you really need a break. The different levels. Where am I in flow with my heart and allowing that? So just allow that to give you a check-in so that by October, when we come to the next one, or even by midsummer, maybe by the summer solstice, you do another check and you realize, like, I am actually making progress. This is exciting. I am living more and more and more in flow in my life. And with that, I think I want to pull, because I love this opportunity, because I didn't have any specific questions that you guys wanted answered this week. So I was able to just feel like what really needs to be shared. What are we coming off of energetically? And as we tune in energetically to today, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days past the 5-5 alignment, I'm going to ask an energy check-in from the dragons of an energy to pay attention to right now for all of us, both listening, I see all you guys, and on the playback, whoever's going to be watching the replay, of the energy that's going to be most, for some reason the word resourceful is there. The dragon that is going to be the most resourceful for me. Now that's interesting. It's not helpful. It's not insightful. It's resourceful for me at this point in my journey, that it's going to have some answers for me, or resources for me to move forward. So let's see who is coming forward. Whoa, interesting. Now that's very interesting, because I felt a dragon approaching from behind me on my right, and I felt obsidian. So obsidian maybe specifically for me, but he's an higher octave of the fire dragon. So what that's showing me is this fire dragon is the more vibrational level that matches our 3D template. That this is going to be the direct line into the majority of this several hundred strong group that's going to listen to this, be tuned into this, that the fire dragon or dragons are going to be the most resourceful for you right now. And with that, that can be anywhere in their upline. So maybe you're working already in a little bit higher vibrational level. Maybe you'll have the obsidian come in. Maybe you'll have the black come in, which is really the black, the carnelian, the ruby. They're all right in that range that is between 3D and close to 4D, right? And then the obsidian in that as well, sitting at the really high range within that framework, and allowing, all right, what are the tickets for me? What is here for me? So let's look at the fire dragon. Purification, clearing, propulsion. You met a fire dragon this morning, Burkana. Beautiful, down in Arizona in the desert or the canyon, I'm guessing. I love that. So think about that specific word, because they never mince words. They're very specific when they go through. When I have energies around me trying to translate specific messaging, and many of you guys who had session with me know that I have to get out of the way, because I want to sometimes change the words or make it more amenable to listen to. And I question or doubt sometimes, like, words that come and I make, well, for some reason they're choosing this word. It's what has to come out. So resourceful. The energy that is the most resourceful for each of us right now is the fire dragon and their upline, up to the obsidian level. Courage. How is courage, purification, clearing, and propulsion going to be resourceful for you right now? And just let the answer come. And I would say that in that, being courageous enough to be in flow, because that's what we were talking about. How can I be more in flow in my life? And the dragon's having the resources for you of propulsion to push you for help, really give you that strength and that impetus to push forward, push through it. Push through all your limitations, like, oh my God, if I do this right now and I'm late for work, or I'm late, or I cancel this, or I reschedule that, you go into fear of how people are going to respond. I'm not going to get another opportunity. They're not going to want to meet with me again, or they want to have lunch with me again, or, just if you know you've got to reschedule, or you've got to move something, or you need to do this instead of what was on the plate. Resources are propulsion, which is that, I got your back. I'm going to give you the impetus. I'm going to give you that go power and the courage and the clearing and the purification of burn up that old belief system. Burn it up, let it go. Very simple example of this. 5 years ago, I had a coach, soul-based business coach, love her to death, Satara Faye, one of my dear friends. We connect to do trades with each other. And wow, we have some powerhouse work go on. And she said to me, to help me break a pattern, what would happen? Because I had this timepiece thing. I had this clock. I get really, really upset if I'm not on time. And it came from my parenting. It came from my dad. And she said to me, all right, there's your homework. For a week, I want you to be 5 minutes late intentionally everywhere you go. And see what happens. See how people respond. See what S hits the fan. What actually falls apart or breaks because you're 5 minutes late. And at the end of the week, and every day I realized, like, the world isn't going to fall apart. Nobody really cares, actually. Most people didn't even notice. And it was one of those moments of, oh my gosh, I could feel the belief system breaking apart through all the cells in my body that were really, really stuck in that. And I cannot have a time parameter, fear factor, belief system that all this bad stuff is going to happen if I'm late. There's no way that I can be in flow if that belief system is in place. So that was one of the pieces that fell out for me, just as a small example. So allow the fire dragons this week to work with you, to give you the courage to see where your limitations are, to see where your belief structures hold you in something that is not flow, that is not your own flow, but maybe somebody else's, maybe all those expectations, parameters, whatever's being put on you. Take advantage of that new stepping forward and feel it come through. And it's not just about actions. Where can I be more in flow, physically, mentally, emotionally, energetically? That is with my time, with my money, with my energy, with my emotions. Am I blocking, or am I in flow and letting them actually come through? If I get angry, do I stymie it and push it down and try and breathe through it? Breathe, breathe, breathe. Actually, you need to let it out, or you're just really stuffing it. Doesn't mean you get angry and yell it and project it at the person. Or maybe it's joy. You can let it out. Some people are really like, wow, somebody's too bubbling over with joy and it sort of freaks them out. Just express it to the universe. Any of those emotions, let yourself be in it without projection, especially of the darker, denser, negative ones that can actually cause harm and create karmic feedback to you. But where can you be in more flow? Where are you holding yourself back, and let yourself just lift the blinders this week with courage, with fire dragons behind you, to see more clearly. All right. Didn't come in with any expectation, but so different than I guess I expected. Coming in with no expectation, but really, really delighted with where this went. And that was me being in flow. Typically, you guys will find I am pretty much in flow on these. I might not know even to the moment that I push go live button what we're actually talking about. Very different than 5 years ago when I started doing lives. And you probably see it if you listen to some of the old ones. I am not able to do that and give that because I kept practicing. And every time you do it, every time you break that pattern of being not in flow, you're practicing. Don't get hard on yourself when you get stuck and you realize like, I didn't let myself flow through it. It's practice. We have to remember and break the chains that have enslaved us for all this time in a system that is really not conducive to how we really live in our higher dimensional aspect. So bless the dragons for coming and helping us reactivate, reawaken, remember all these pieces. I'm going to wish you guys a beautiful week of incorporating that. You know where to find me for discovery calls. If you don't, dragonwithin.com homepage, there's a book now button, takes you to the booking calendar where you'll find all the session availability, whether it's 20-minute dragon readings, full sessions, healing reading, whatever occurs in those, or a 20-minute discovery call that lets us discuss and see like, where do you want to go? What do you want to get out of this journey? I love those discovery calls, and they really can lead to a lot of insight from your end of what to do next. And it may or may not be some of my tools. I may introduce some of those so you know about them, but I always find even those calls I never know how they're going to come out, and they're really fun. So take advantage of the tools that are there. There's free meditation on the homepage as well, Calling in Your Dragon. If you haven't used it, go ahead and use it over and over and over again. If you haven't used it in a long time, go back and do it again and see what happens this time. Might be a higher octave. Might be another guide stepping forward. Really beautiful opportunity. So have a beautiful week or 5 days or whatever it is till I see you again. Happy Mother's Day. We are celebrating Mother's Day this weekend in the United States. So happy Mother's Day to all of those mama dragons out there. So much honor and respect for your journey. I know I'm excited, and I'm going to celebrate every day this weekend. I'm going to go on a girls' night movie with another mom Friday night. I'm going to go out to brunch on Saturday instead of on the crowded, crazy Sunday when all things go awry and the service isn't good and the food's rushed or whatever. Go on Saturday. It's still your weekend. And I'm actually going to ski, if you can believe it. May 14th, I'm going to be skiing for the last time of the year. The resorts over at, I used to call it Squaw Valley, it's now Palisades and Alpine Meadows. They're open till 4th of July because of the snowpack we have here in the Sierras. So I'm going to ski. I skied in early November. I think it was like November 14th, all the way to May 14th. That's 6 months of skiing. What? So that's my Mother's Day with my boys. Going to be up on a beautiful sunny mountain. It's going to be a gorgeous day. I hope you guys do something wonderful. And if you have a plan and you wake up that day and you want to change it, be in flow and do it. It's your heart. It's your life. It's your journey. Follow it. Much love to you guys. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.